Hello, hello everybody. My name is Melissa from stampwithmelissa.com. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United States, and today I wanted to share with you how to do the Emboss Resist Technique. So on this card here, you can see that I've got some evergreen trees in the back here, and then I've gone over with some ink and I've blended over the top of them. However, the trees still stand out. And same with the snow there. And I want to show you today how to do that. And I'm actually using a new and upcoming stamp set called Peaceful Cabin, or the Peaceful Cabin bundle. It's got an amazing set of dies too, which you can see here. We're going to use a couple of them. And I just wanted to share with you how to make this cute card. Now I know it's only July, but I'm really excited about our upcoming mini catalog, and so I wanted to go ahead and just make a Christmas card because why the heck not? So this set you cannot buy until August 3rd unless you're a demonstrator. Then you can order it now. And if you can't wait, if you're not currently a demonstrator and you can't wait to get this set or any of the amazing others, I do have a video that you can check out with some other awesome new upcoming goodies, then you can join my team, which is $99. You get to choose $125 worth of product, anything you want. It could be from the clearance rack or any of the current catalogs, and you also could choose items from our brand new upcoming catalog too. But if you don't want to join as a demonstrator, then you can look forward to getting your hands on this set starting on August 3rd. Speaking of that, I am sending out all of my catalogs to my customers. If you've ordered with me since June of 2020, you are going to automatically receive a catalog. If you haven't been a customer of mine before, you can just send me an email and I'd be happy to send you a catalog. My email is down in the description box below. All right, enough talking. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm so excited to show you how to make this cute card. All right, so I have got all of the measurements on my blog, and the link to that is in the box below, but we are using basic gray as a card base. Now, I neglect basic gray. I never ever use it, and so I decided that it needed to be, kind of one of my main colors in this card. Oh, and I should mention, too, that I did kind of case this card a little bit from page 36 of the upcoming mini, so if you have that, you can open up your catalog and see the card I'm talking about. But I've also got this piece of basic white here, and this basic white is soon going to turn into that. And then we've also got some scrap pieces. Let me grab them here. So I've got a piece of Pear Pizzazz for the sentiment, as well as some pieces of basic gray and smoky slate to cut out the cabin. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with this basic white piece. And I'm going to bring in a piece of scrap paper just so I don't forget later. And we're going to heat emboss. So I've got my embossing buddy here, and I'm gonna go ahead and apply this pretty generously all over this piece because I want to avoid little flyaway pieces of the embossing powder. However, I will say, since this is a winter card, if you get some flyaway pieces, they just look like snow. So it's not a big deal if you don't have an embossing buddy, or, even if it gets a little sticky. Okay, so I've got this cool tree stamp, and look at that. I love how there's a gap in the middle there just to provide some spacing, but it is one stamp, which is pretty neat. So we're going to go ahead and ink this up in the Versamark. And it's going to be pretty hard to see because I'm doing this right onto a piece of basic white, and then I'm going to emboss it with white embossing powder, but I promise you'll be able to see it after a little bit. So I've got that down, and from where I'm sitting, the angle I'm at with my light, I can actually see where I've already stamped. So I've added a couple more trees off to the side there. I'm going to keep my Versamark open, and I'm going to come in with some of these cute snowflakes. And I thought this was such a fun card. So, it is a winter card, and I know that our South Pacific friends are, and everyone, south of the equator are in winter right now. But here in the States, it is summertime. However, I do love winter, so I had absolutely no problem going ahead and making some winter cards. But, this is not a Christmas card. I actually made it a thank you card, and that thank you sentiment is directly from the stamp set. Okay, so now we get a little tricky because my bin is not super wide, but I'm just dumping some of that white embossing powder right onto the paper. I'm kind of angling it because, as I said, I don't want to get the embossing powder all over the place. So we're doing our best. And then I'm just tapping the side of it and it's causing the rest to kind of fall off. And then we'll do this side here. And then I'll just make sure, see there's a piece down here that's missing some embossing powder, so we will go ahead. I'll dump some on there. And then I'm gonna have it run this way because it'll add some extra embossing powder to those snowflakes. So I'm not sure, oh, and there's a spot right here I missed. See, it's a little bit harder when you're doing the white embossing powder on white cardstock, but it looks pretty cool. So I'm not sure if you can see that in the camera, but it is there, and now we just have to heat set it. So I'm going to do that, and I will be right back. Okay, that is all heat embossed. If you can see that there, it's a little shiny and it looks so cool. And so now we're going to do the Emboss Resist technique. Now what you'll need for that is an ink pad. I'm using Pear Pizzazz. And I know that's a bit of a weird color for the sky, but I kind of liked it. And the catalog really focused on that green color, and so I wanted to pull that out in this card too. But I've got a blending brush here. This is my blending brush for my greens. I don't think you need a blending brush for each color, but hey, if you have the storage for it and you want to have a blending brush for each color, more power to you. I just use this one for all of my greens, and I make sure to clean it between each color. But I am just blending on the Pear Pizzazz ink onto this basic white, and you can see that the snowflakes and the trees there are resisting the ink, which is why it is called the Emboss Resist technique. So I am going to start off like this, whoops, and then go ahead and swirl it on, and I'm going in a circular motion just to make sure there's no streaks or weird lines or anything that show up. And I think it looks pretty neat. I love how this turns out. It does remind me a little bit of Aurora Borealis or the Northern Lights because they can provide such a stunning green color too. So this is so fun and I love it, and you can see how quick it was to get all of that ink blending on there. And I am leaving the bottom kind of open because it's a winter scene. It does look like snow, which I think is pretty cool. And it'll be partially covered by that cabin. Okay, so we are going to close up our ink, and I'm going to move my blending brush away, and you can see how cool that looks. Oh my gosh. So you could keep going over it. You can see mine is like a little bit darker in some spots and lighter, but I love that. I love how it looks. So you can totally do whatever you want with it. You can keep going to make it more uniform if you want, but I would recommend having a scrap piece down because as you can see, we've got some Pear Pizzazz ink on there. Okay, so now I'm gonna show you, we'll scoot that off to the side here. And now I'm gonna show you how to get the cool cabin effect. So you can see in here that you've got kind of those eaves in the windows that peek through there, and that is such a cool technique with the die cut. Now I'm gonna point this out, and it's to say we all make mistakes, right? But you can see down here that that smoky slate didn't quite cover all the way, which was totally my bad, but it's okay. It's handmade, so it'll be appreciated anyway, but we will go ahead and make sure we do it correctly here. So I've got my mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and what's awesome about this die set is that it actually works with the mini. So I've got my piece of smoky slate here, and then we're going to use this cool edgelit piece which cuts out the cabin, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna spin it this way just because it'll fit here. You can tell that this is the piece that I used on my last card, and here I'm gonna scoot it a little higher up for you. And we're gonna go ahead and just put it on like that, and then we will use our other plate here. I'm gonna make sure, whoops, hold on, it scooted on me a little bit, so I am gonna use a Post-it note. This is a pretty beat up Post-it note. I'm gonna do this down here off camera real fast and just get this lined up. And then I'm just putting the Post-it note to hold that edgelet in place. Okay, and we will give that a shot. Yeah, like I said, the Post-it note is pretty beat up, but it does its job. And then we will run this through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And I love this mini one. I think it looks so cool. It works so great too with this die set. Okay, so there we have, whoops, it didn't cut all the way, but that's okay. This is the piece that's under, so I'm not too worried about that. But this is gonna be one of the pieces. Then we've got basic gray here, and I need to cut the same, so we're cutting out another one of those cabin pieces. So I'm gonna get this lined up, and I apologize if it's off camera. I'm gonna get it lined up and then stuck down here with the Post-it note. Just like that, and we'll go ahead and run that through also. Here we go. Sometimes you have to get it started a little bit first. All right, so there's that piece, which is pretty cool. So we're done with this edgelet, but we're not done die cutting. So then there's this cool cabin piece that cuts out all of those little gaps, the windows, the eaves. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna line it up on here and then put my Post-it note on, and we'll run it through our mini cut and emboss machine and get all those cool little pieces cut out. Okay, and look how cool that turned out. Isn't that so neat? Okay, I'm gonna bring in my silicone craft mat, and it's because I'm going to be doing some gluing. And as I mentioned before, we don't really care about that part, so I'm just gonna snip some of that like area off on this guy because he's gonna be layered underneath. So I'm not too concerned about him. And then this guy, I'm gonna add some liquid glue to the back of it, and we'll get it adhered onto this layer. So I'm gonna be kind of careful, but we wanna make sure that everything is sticking down pretty well. So I am gonna put some glue on some of these other pieces up here as well. And then also a little bit on these sides. Like that. And then we're gonna go ahead and lay him right over the top. Oh, look at how cool this is. Isn't that so neat? Okay, so we're gonna get that all laid down here. And I can see right here is sticking up, so we're gonna add a little bit of liquid glue right under that. Or a lot, because I accidentally squeezed too much. But that's okay, we'll just wipe that off. There we go. Okay, look how cool that is though, you guys. Okay, so now I'm gonna bring in my snips, and I'm gonna cut off this smoky slate layer that peeks out here. And I am just butting it right up against that basic gray layer to trim it off. Just like that. So now it's all lined up. Look at how neat that is. Okay, so now I can use my seal adhesive because that's solid on the back. And we will apply a lot of seal. We'll be pretty generous. Just like that. And we will get this layered to the bottom of our card here. So I am going to line up that bottom edge with the bottom of the basic white. Just like that. Look at how neat that looks. Isn't that so cool how that turned out? I love how it turned out. And then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna add some seal adhesive to the back of this basic white piece. And then we'll go ahead and layer this onto the center of the basic gray card base. Look at how neat that is. I am gonna flip it over just to adhere this a little. And then of course we will fold that in half and bring in the bone folder to give that a nice crease. And we are almost done, but not quite, because we need a sentiment. So I've got this piece of pear pizzazz here, and I'm going to be heat embossing again. So I've got my Versamark, and then I've got this cute little sentiment that says thank you, and I'm gonna line this up right there. So it's pretty close to the bottom of that pear pizzazz piece. And then we will go ahead and add some embossing powder. Like that. Look how cute that is. And then I'm going to heat emboss this, and I will be right back. All right, so that's all heat embossed. I've got my trimmer in here, and I'm gonna go ahead and just trim this down a little bit. I'm gonna leave a little bit of a gap to the left because I wanna add in a little banner. And then we will carefully line that up and trim off some of that top there. So how cute is that? And then I'm just using my snips here, and I'm gonna go in the center and create a pretty shallow banner here. Just with my snips. So I'm cutting from edge to edge. Whoops, there we go. Just like that. And of course, we have not used any dimensionals yet, so now is the time. So I've got 2 dimensionals here to put on here. And then we will flip this guy over, and I'm gonna put him right about here at the bottom. And look at how cute that is. So here, I'll bring in the first one again. So this one is a little bit lower, and this one's a little higher. You can really do whatever you want with it. It looks so cool when they're done. I think this die set is really, really neat. So thank you guys so much for watching today. I hope you'll give the Emboss Resist technique a try. And as I mentioned, all of the measurements are on my blog. Also, the supplies are on my blog. They're also linked down in the description box below. If you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel so you'll be notified anytime I post a new video or go live. And I do go live once a week. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time. Bye for now.